The death toll from an earthquake and tsunami in Indonesia goes up to over 800. And locally, more wind-resistant trees will be planted by the government in the aftermath of Super Typhoon Mangkhut.
Good evening and welcome. The death toll from that powerful earthquake and tsunami in Indonesia continues to rise. The country's disaster agency says more than 800 people have been killed, and that number is expected to increase. Peter Koveas has details.
Rescue teams struggled to reach people trapped underneath flattened buildings. Bodies were pulled from the rubble. The head of Indonesia's search and rescue team says they need heavy equipment to help in the effort. On Friday, a magnitude 7.5 quake and the ensuing tsunami devastated the city of Palu on the Indonesian island of Sulawesi. Indonesia's disaster agency spokesman says the majority of the deaths so far have come from Palu, and the number could go up as many bodies remain under the wreckage. Reports say waves as high as 6 meters pulverized everything in its path. The survivor recalls the moment the earthquake hit. She says she was inside a mall when everything went black. She rushed out with her daughters. She made it a point to flee the crumbling building. Others have been doing the opposite. Looters have been entering malls despite the safety concerns and have tried to take away anything they can salvage. The nearby cities of Donggala and Mamuju were also ravaged. Little information has been made available from those areas due to damaged roads and disrupted telecommunication lines. The country is in dire need of help and has already been offered assistance from Australia. Indonesia sits on the Pacific Ring of Fire and is regularly hit by earthquakes. In August, a series of quakes on the island of Lombok killed more than 500 people. Peter Koveas, TVB News.
Powerful Typhoon Trami is now ripping through southern Japan. Its strong winds have injured thousands of people, triggered a mass evacuation, and disrupted air and train travel. Typhoon Trami is now rated Category 2 by Tropical Storm Risk, with Category 5 being the highest. Trami is forecast to turn towards Japan's northeast. Its projected course includes regions hit earlier this month by Typhoon Chebi, which caused landslides, floods, and shuttered a major airport. Experts expect Trami to cross the islands of Kyushu and hit Tokyo later today. As it makes its way towards northern Japan between now and Monday, it's expected to slam the main island of Honshu, which is home to the country's major cities and cultural sites. Heavy rain and high tides began pounding the outlying islands in the Okinawan chain on Saturday. So far, the storm has knocked out power at more than 300,000 households in southern Okinawa and Kagoshima prefectures. Authorities say winds are so strong, moving vehicles and trucks can easily be blown over. They also warned that buildings may collapse and steel frame structures may buckle under pressure. Japan is still reeling from Typhoon Chebi. It was the strongest storm to hit Japan in 25 years, and it killed 11 people. In July, heavy rain in western Japan killed 221 people, setting off landslides and flooding. Typhoon Trami also affected 52 flights between Hong Kong and Japan today. Half of those scheduled flights were delayed and the rest canceled. It's unclear if more flights will be halted tomorrow. The Travel Industry Council said roughly 530 people from 21 package tours in Honshu are due to return to Hong Kong today and tomorrow, and they will likely be facing delays. Meanwhile, some of the holidaymakers' plans will undoubtedly be affected as Osaka department stores and theme parks have closed.
Here at home, volunteers were out again to clean up the mess left by Super Typhoon Mangkhut 2 weeks ago. Elmi Long takes a look at the progress they've made.
A relaxing day at the beach for them. Less so for this lot. Close to 200 volunteers from the city's 5 disciplined forces headed to Southern District. The mission? Restore Deepwater Bay Beach to its charm after Super Typhoon Mangkhut battered it earlier this month. The storm brought winds so strong that shower rooms on the beach were filled with sand. Off-duty firemen had a labour-intensive morning sawing branches from uprooted trees. This firefighter says there's an overwhelming response, and some of his colleagues even rushed over from the new territories after their shifts. Other officers removed metal pieces scattered on the beach. This man says there's a sense of satisfaction as they've made good progress in just a few hours. As local authorities transport tree waste for temporary storage at the old Kaita Airport runway, they are also thinking of ways to keep the city green. Turns out there were more than 46,000 reports of falling trees during Super Typhoon Mangkhut. Secretary for Development Michael Wong blogged about planting different species of trees that are more wind-resistant and with high ecological value, something more suitable for the urban landscape. And that's because large amounts of Acacia confusa trees planted in the 1970s may not be around for long, given their average lifespan of around 50 years. El Milong, TVB News.
Authorities say they are searching for innovative ways to tackle rat infestation. This after Hong Kong discovered what's possibly the world's first human case of rat hepatitis E. Health Chief Sophia Chan didn't specify what those new methods entail, but stressed cross-departmental efforts to reduce the number of rats. In recent days, she has visited hygiene black spots in Tsuen Wan and Kwun Tong, as well as Choi Wan Estate in Ao Chi Wan, where a 56-year-old man lives. He's believed to have been infected with hepatitis virus from rodents in that area.
North Korea's foreign minister told the United Nations that continued sanctions on his country will make it difficult to give up its nuclear weapons. Speaking at the UN General Assembly, Ri Yong-ho said sanctions should be eased. He noted Pyongyang has already made several goodwill measures since the June summit in Singapore between leader Kim Jong-un and U.S. President Donald Trump. Stressing that North Korea needs more trust in the U.S. before it will get rid of its nuclear weapons, Ri said sanctions only deepen his country's mistrust of America. Washington wants sanctions to remain in place until Pyongyang fully dismantles its nuclear program.
The White House has ordered the FBI to conduct a background check on Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh after 3 women accused him of sexual misconduct. President Donald Trump says he hopes the probe will shine the light on 3 points: that Kavanaugh is innocent, who leaked the story of one of accusers, and that Democrats are destroying Kavanaugh to gain control of the Senate.
Actually, this could be a blessing in disguise, because having the FBI go out, do a thorough investigation, whether it's 3 days or 7 days, I think it's going to be less than a week. But having them do a thorough investigation, I actually think will be a blessing in disguise. I'd like to find out who leaked the papers. Was it Senator Feinstein? Because certainly her body language was not exactly very good when they asked her that question. So I would like to find out, as part of it, who leaked the papers. Which Democrat leaked the papers? You see what's going on? You see this horrible, horrible radical group of Democrats. You see it happening right now. They don't care who they hurt, who they have to run over in order to get power and control. That's what they want, is power and control. We're not going to give it to them. We're going to keep it running the way it's been running.
A referendum is underway in the former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia on whether to change its name to Republic of North Macedonia. If passed, the move would resolve a decades-old name dispute with Greece and pave the way for the Balkan Republic to join NATO and the European Union. Prime Minister Zoran Zaev was among the millions voting on a referendum to change the country's name. The former Yugoslav Republic has been in a dispute with neighboring Greece over the name since the early 1990s. Greece has a province called Macedonia. Athens says its northern neighbor's name represents a claim on its territory and has vetoed its entrance into NATO and the European Union. For the referendum to be valid, at least 50% of voters must turn out, and a majority must back the name change. 2/3 of Macedonia's parliament must also approve any constitutional amendments that arise. The Greek parliament must also ratify a landmark deal over the name change reached with the Balkan Republic back in June. Still ahead in tonight's news. Martyrs' Day commemorations in Beijing. Comparatively cost-effective treatments for allergy patients. And Elon Musk forced to step down as Tesla chairman.
Welcome to our lounge. Enjoy your stay.
Thanks very much.
Find calm in over 1,000 airport lounges worldwide. It's another way we've got your back. The Platinum Card from American Express. Don't live life without it.
Welcome back. In Beijing, Chinese state leaders gathered to mark the 5th Martyrs' Day. As with previous years, the ceremony was held in the capital's Tiananmen Square. The national anthem was followed by a minute of silence for an estimated 20 million martyrs, those who lost their lives for national independence and prosperity. Among 3,000 attendees were all 7 members of the Chinese Communist Party's Politburo Standing Committee. This includes President Xi Jinping and Premier Li Keqiang. Martyrs' Day was approved by the National People's Congress in 2014 and comes one day before China's National Day.
Home buyers may be facing higher mortgage payments after local banks raise their prime rates. However, a private developer says there's nothing to worry about in the short run. Christy Leung with details.
Local banks raised their prime lending rates for the first time in 12 years after rate hikes by the Hong Kong Monetary Authority and the U.S. Federal Reserve. The new rates range from HSBC's 5.125% to Standard Chartered's 5.375%. However, Stuart Leung, Executive Committee Chairman of the Real Estate Developers Association of Hong Kong, believes the rate increases won't lead to a drop in property prices.
I think the increase in interest rate is quite soft, and all that already been accepted by the market. We've been seeing in the market before over 10%. It will really affect then the market.
The rate hikes will lead to higher mortgage payments for small flats, but he says some developers may prolong the installment payments period in an attempt to speed up the sales of small units. The association earlier showed its support for the idea of developing private farmland under a public-private partnership arrangement, which requires developers to build a certain portion of public housing. However, Leung refused to say what an acceptable level is, only adding that such an arrangement should not be across the board.
I don't think you can do it in one go, because the thing is, different location may have a different price. Those locations near the MTR, their selling price may be higher.
He stressed developers are not taking advantage of the situation as they have to pay land premiums, which will include the cost of infrastructure facilities. Christy Leung, TVB News.
A study finds that the majority of people in Hong Kong know very little about the mental disorder called schizophrenia. And experts are urging the government to allocate more resources to support patients. Kina Chu has more.
Mr. Wong was diagnosed with schizophrenia in his 30s. Decades later, he says his condition is in control. He recalled being the subject of gossip. People were also fearful and didn't understand what he was going through. He was told by others to avoid drug treatment and stay positive, as well as do more exercise. But according to experts, there are many misconceptions associated with this illness.
People may misunderstand that these are his personality problems. He's being sensitive, he's being too suspicious.
From June to July, 4 organizations helping the mentally ill conducted a study on the public's understanding of schizophrenia. More than 1,000 people were surveyed, and over 70% thought the disorder is caused by psychological or personality issues. 300 patients were also interviewed, and half of them shared the same view. Roughly a third of all respondents also mistakenly believed schizophrenics possess violent tendencies. There was also a stigma about the effectiveness of prescribed medications.
Most misconception is come from the name, because a very long times ago, the staff working in the prison, they will inject the antipsychotic drugs to the prisoner, so to control their bad behavior.
As schizophrenia is not a focus of the government's Advisory Committee on Mental Health, the group hopes that some of their suggestions can be adopted in the upcoming policy address to raise public awareness. This includes a focus on educating the community about schizophrenia. Kana Chu, TVB News.
In Hong Kong, 1 in 3 children suffer from at least one type of allergy. Despite the prevalence, doctors say patients in the city are not getting the most effective treatments. Haley Zhou reports.
Coughing, itching, nasal congestion, asthma, throat tightening, pink eye, and difficulty in breathing. You may think these symptoms are relatively light, but not the impact it has on people's lives. Allergic diseases are getting increasingly prevalent in Hong Kong. Air pollution and an urban lifestyle are to blame.
In Asia, the allergy problem will increase significantly in the next 10 to 20 years. If we don't do anything now, it will be very problematic and will cause a very significant health burden to the government and also to our community.
Some good news though. There is a way to cure common allergies such as food and animal allergies. It's called allergen immunotherapy or desensitization. It gradually exposes a patient to specific allergens to which he or she is sensitive in order to induce immune tolerance. Doctors say benefits have been proven locally and internationally.
The wonderful thing with the treatment is that when you give it early, it can stop this progression, so you do not get the asthma. And this is no other treatment can prevent this, only immunotherapy. The other thing only makes the symptoms less. It's like you have a brain tumor, you take an aspirin, the headache may disappear, but the tumor stays. And immunotherapy is causative and prevents the progression.
On the flip side, it is not easy to receive it in Hong Kong, largely because there aren't many doctors providing the treatment. There's also a lack of resources because allergic diseases are not the public health authorities' top priority, as they are seemingly not as fatal as some other diseases.
In the past 20 years, the government officials or the community may think that allergy is not causing a significant problem. It is not life-threatening, it is not a priority. Hong Kong is catching up relatively slow in this area.
Experts said allergic diseases will increasingly become a burden for our society in the next 10 to 15 years, and allergen immunotherapy can be a cost-effective way to alleviate the burden. Haley Zhou, TVB News.
Tesla and its CEO, Elon Musk, will each pay $20 million to settle a case that accused Musk of misleading investors. This came after the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission filed a complaint that caused Tesla's share price to spike more than 6%. As part of the SEC agreement, Musk will also step down as Tesla's chairman, but remain CEO of the electric car company. And that's our news.